Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my #1 luxury makeup right now. So this is the luxury makeup I can't get enough of. I decided to just narrow it down to one item per category. And this is pretty much a favorites video, but I like to call it something different because I don't like to do monthly favorites. I feel like it's just too repetitive. So this is just all the luxury beauty I'm currently loving. But if you want to see all my current luxury beauty favorites, just keep watching. I'm going to start off with the skin, and the first complexion product that I am really loving is this Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. I wear the shade 3. This is a pretty good shade match for me. I really love to use this product specifically underneath foundation. Now I've seen a lot of people, they will pump this out. So Dior released this as a pump product, which is nice, versus some other highlighting products, like if we think of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, which is a doe foot applicator. But I really like this item specifically because it is different than the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. So if you do have that product, I think that you could have both of these in your collection and that they are different enough that it makes sense to have both. This one definitely dries down on the skin more than the Charlotte Tilbury one. The Charlotte Tilbury one feels a bit more emollient, and this one does have a bit more of a sheen, so it is a little bit more intense. But what I love about both these products is that there is a little bit of coverage to them, so it almost gives this skin blurring effect. So this type of product really does filter the skin. So if you can see it on my hand, you probably can't see it very well. It is basically my complexion color, but it has a little bit of a sheen to it, a little bit of coverage. So it's almost like the perfect hybrid between I wouldn't even call it like a foundation. It's almost like a tinted moisturizer and then a little bit of a liquid illuminator. And it's like the two are mixed together. So it adds a little bit of a perfecting property. Now, it does add a perfecting property, but if you're going to apply it over the center of your face, like right here and over your nose, it's not going to perfect that area because it does have a sheen, so it will emphasize texture in those areas if you apply it there. So what I like to do is I like to specifically highlight on my face, so I'll apply this with a brush just on the tops of my cheekbones, down the center of my nose, a little bit above the brows, just where I want to add a little bit of highlight, but also I want that perfected look. And I find that when I use this underneath my foundation, I will not need as much coverage with my foundation product over top. So I just really like using it that way, and I just feel like it is such a beautiful product. It definitely gives you like a glow from within. Especially if you use this product underneath your foundation, you still get that glow from within, and it's a very subtle glow. It's not going to be like an intense highlighting product, but it is just so gorgeous. So I have been really, really loving this. The foundation that I have been using this month is actually kind of a bit of a surprise because this is a foundation that you have heard me talk about, but I haven't really given it the highest praises because I find it a little bit harder to wear with my drier skin. But my skin hasn't been as dry lately, so I've been getting more use out of the Chanel Sublimage Le Teint foundation in the shade number 41 Beige Doré. I have been really, really enjoying this product, especially because I feel like I've been able to just find a way to make this work for me a little bit better, and that is by really thinning this product out. I also really like to mix it with the Givenchy concealer. I'll add a little bit of that, and that will kind of add a little bit of hydration to this foundation. I actually like to mix this foundation in with some of my other more hydrating foundations. Like I'll mix it with like my Clé de Peau Cushion foundation. That is a really good mixture. So I can get this to work, but I do really like it on its own as well, especially if I'm going to be wearing makeup for a really long period of time, because this wears really, really well. And I would say this has like a medium coverage. This is definitely a bit more coverage than some of my lighter coverage foundations, but it is really pretty on the skin because it has this beautiful filtered and blurred effect, which is something you hear me talk about a lot because that is what I require in a foundation. That's just what I like my foundations to have. And this adds that really beautiful smooth effect to your skin. But if I go in with just a very light amount of product, like I'm talking about just like a tiny pea-sized amount, you can really work this onto the skin, and it really is skin-like because this finish, it does lean more on the matte side, but it isn't too matte and it's not too dewy either. Like I definitely don't think it's a drying matte. It's kind of a sophisticated matte finish. It is really pretty on the skin, ultra long wearing. If you thin it out, like you just take that tiny bit of product and really work it onto the skin with a brush, really thin it out so that it looks like no makeup. It just is so pretty on the skin. Like I said, one of the most long wearing foundations that I have in my collection. So I have been really liking it, especially as the weather is getting warmer. It's just such a great go-to foundation. Yes, it comes in this jar packaging, so it's not the most useful. I would prefer something with a pump, but I still am really enjoying this foundation, and I'm glad I am finally getting more use out of this, and that I don't know, for some reason, I guess my mind has changed on this foundation. I've been liking it a lot more. So I just think this is really pretty, especially because we are coming towards those hotter months. It's nice to have something that's going to be long wearing and isn't ultra dewy, because a lot of my favorite foundations are definitely more on the hydrating side. So this is just a nice little change up. I feel like I want to quickly mention the Chantecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation, because this is my favorite lightweight foundation if I want something on an everyday basis that looks like skin, that really doesn't look like foundation at all, that just looks like your skin but better. This is the type of product I will reach for. This has a really beautiful finish. It's not too matte, not too dewy. Again, it has this beautiful natural, I would say it's like a natural satin finish. It is just so beautiful. If you are the type of person that doesn't like to look like you are wearing makeup, and you like your makeup to be imperceptible in person, you don't like people to see that you are wearing makeup, this is a great option because it is virtually undetectable on the skin. It is so pretty. It is so skin-like, has a smoothing effect to it, and it's just really pretty. And I'd recommend this for people who are oily and dry. I feel like you can use it for both skin types. Just a great everyday foundation. The concealer that I've been loving is no surprise. This is the Surratt Dewdrop Concealer in the shade number 5. So I picked up the shade 5. Previously, I was wearing the shade 4. Surratt did send me that shade, and I thought it was just a little bit too light, but now that I've picked up the shade 5, I think it's actually a little bit too dark. So I've actually been using this all over the face as a foundation and concealer in one, and it works really well for that. Similar to, I always talk about the Chic concealer. I really like using that as a facial and an under eye concealer, and this works great for the same purpose. I like to apply this all over the skin, and I can just use it, and it blends out onto the skin so beautifully. It looks really skin-like. It has that beautiful blurring quality. So I actually really like this as kind of like a foundation product as well. But if I'm talking about just concealer, this is phenomenal. This is also my mom's favorite concealer. My mom is 65 and she loves it as well. And I love it because it has enough hydration under the eyes, but not too much where it's going to crease and settle throughout the day. It has a beautiful dry down to it. You don't need to powder this concealer down with powder if you don't want to. If you're someone that just doesn't like to use powder, this will set down by itself. And I love how it wears throughout the day. It never gets cakey. It never fades away. It never gets creasy. It looks just as beautiful when you applied it as it does towards the end of the day. Just phenomenal. Truly, if you haven't tried out this concealer, you must, because it is so, so, so good. So if things look a little bit different right now, it's because I had to refilm this part of the video because it was a little bit blurry. So I'm coming at you with like very, very minimal makeup just to refilm this part. So I'm going to continue on with the powder that I am just loving right now. And this is nothing new. This is the Peau Refining Press Powder that they reformulated this year. I'm really impressed with this reformulation. I can't stop using it. It's something that I use literally on a daily basis, especially if I want to maintain the coverage and the color of the foundation that I've applied, because this does not alter the color or the coverage. This just adds a veil of perfection in the way that it blurs and filters the skin without it changing the appearance, the coverage, or anything like that. I just love this powder. It's insanely finely milled. It just adds, like I said, a veil of like a filter effect over your skin versus it looking like a powder over your skin. This is just such an elegant powder. It is high price, but to me it's worth the price because of how beautiful it makes my skin look. And then moving on to bronzers, I do have a cream bronzer to mention, and this is something that I guess has been hyped up for a really long time, and I just recently picked it up, and this is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. It is an all-over warming complexion tint. So this does claim, I guess, that it has like light coverage, and I do agree with that because this almost adds a blurred quality to your skin. It adds like a very, very light amount of coverage. It really reminds me of the Chantecaille Anti-Aging Face Tint, but I do think that these products are different enough that I like having both, because this I will just use as a complexion enhancer, where the Chantecaille Face Tint I can actually use more as like a bronzer. I can also mix that product into foundations if things are a little bit too light on my skin tone. But this I would just use as a, like it's called, a skin enhancer. It is not a cream bronzer. If you're looking for a cream bronzer, do not pick up this product, because what this does is this just enhances your skin. It makes your complexion come back to life after you've applied foundation. Because sometimes if you apply foundation, you've just blanked out your complexion and it doesn't actually look very natural because now you have no dimension to your skin. This will add dimension back to your skin without it looking like bronzer. It isn't an overwhelming product. This just adds a little bit of that dimension, a little bit of that contrast back to your skin, so that your skin actually looks natural. And there's no detectable line from where you've applied a bronzer because of how lightly pigmented this is. This is very creamy. It's very easy to blend. It is basically like a gel product. It does look quite emollient, but when you blend it onto the skin, I don't think that it looks emollient. Like, it doesn't look like it's greasy or anything like that. It's also not sticky. I thought that maybe this product would be a little bit sticky and my hair would get stuck in it, but it doesn't at all. This is just a beautiful complexion enhancer. If you want your complexion to look even more beautiful, if you just want your skin to look more beautiful, this is sort of one of those no makeup products that I'm so happy I got my hands on. It's beautiful. Like, the packaging isn't luxurious, but I think this product inside is very, very beautiful. And then speaking about complexion enhancers, I also have been loving the Hermes. This is the Healthy Glow Mineral Powder in the shade 02 Atlas. I would almost classify these two as very similar products. This is technically not a bronzer, and I don't think it goes on as a bronzer. This just enhances, again, your complexion. And if you can see, it's basically the same color as my chest. It's just like one shade deeper. So it's just going to bring life back to my complexion without it being a harsh bronzer. I've just not been really into bronzers lately just because I feel like it's a little harsh. There's just too much of a contrast between my foundation and then the bronzer itself. So I've been going for really light colored bronzers or these sort of like complexion enhancers where it doesn't look like a detectable bronzer on my skin. It's just going to make my skin look even more beautiful versus it looking like I'm wearing heavy makeup or anything. So I just love this product. Again, insanely finely milled. This is very pricey, but you get quite a lot of product in here. Like, this is 18 grams. Which is quite a lot for a bronzer, and I've used this literally so much and I haven't really made like a huge dent in this. So I feel like a little bit of this goes a long way and I'm gonna have this for a long time. So for me, I do feel like the price is worth it, and I don't say that about all my luxury makeup. Like, sometimes I'm like, no, it's not worth it, but for how beautiful this makes my complexion look, again, without it looking like heavy makeup, this is so phenomenal. It's just, like I said, it's so finely milled. You can use a little bit of a heavier hand with this one because it goes on quite sheer. It's a very buildable product. So if you're a beginner, this would be a great product to add if you're someone that's maybe a little intimidated by bronzer, because it just goes on so lightly and it's very buildable, and it has a blurring capability as well, which you guys know I love in my products. It's just such a good product. One downfall I want to mention is that it does lean a little bit more on the warm side. So if you're someone with really pink undertones, very cool undertones, this might not work for you because it does definitely lean toward the warmer side. But I love it. It's so good. And for blush, I have a cream blush to mention, and I just want to give a shout out to my subscriber, Diana. She is honestly the best. She is so sweet. And she sent me this Clé de Peau cream blush because if you don't know, for some reason we can't buy these in Canada. So she offered to send it to me, which was so generous and thoughtful. She is just such an angel, and I really, really appreciate it, Diana. Really means so much to me. But this product is so good, and I'm so happy I finally got to try it out. This color is absolutely beautiful. It's like the best, just nude pink shade. If you're looking for something that isn't going to overwhelm your face, I feel like a lot of blushes these days are quite brightly colored. Like, we have these lilac colors coming up. We have these bright oranges and almost like red tones or deep plums. They can be a little bit intimidating if you're someone that just likes more natural toned makeup like I do. I just want, again, my complexion to look enhanced. I want to look like myself, but just a better version of myself. And this is the type of blush that is so beautiful because it is such a gorgeous, just skin tone color blush. This is like the perfect peachy pink that doesn't lean too pink, but also doesn't lean too peach, where it's going to look unnatural on the skin. It's a little bit more of a muted tone, so I think it just goes into the complexion really nicely. This formula is so beautiful. It feels quite silicone-y, and I really like that because it's so easy to blend and really easy to apply. If you're a beginner, this is the type of cream blush I would recommend. And because it does have that silicone feeling to it, it's a blurring cream blush, which, again, you know I love my blurring filter products. This is just so good. For a cream blush, I feel like this does set down as well, so it has very great longevity to it. It's just such a beautiful product. If you're someone that's maybe intimidated by cream blushes because they're a little bit more finicky to use, this is such a gorgeous product. I would highly recommend because this is like foolproof. It's so easy to use. Just the flush that it gives your cheeks is so pretty, and it's really natural looking, so it's not going to look like this faux version of blush on your face that looks unnatural. It's just going to give you that beautiful flush of color. Love this so much. And then the powder blush that I've just been, like, I can't put this down. This is the Lawless Make Me Blush Velvet Blush in the shade Vintage Love. So this is actually a clean formula, which I have been reaching out towards a bit more because I've been really struggling with allergies to like food and environmental stuff. I'm just like allergic to being alive right now. So having these formulas has been really helpful for me. And I really, really like this, not just for a clean formula. This is actually just a really amazing blush formula. It is a little bit more, I guess you could say, hard pressed. It's not as like velvety smooth as some of my other luxury blushes, but it is still a velvety product. It has a really nice amount of pigmentation where it doesn't go on too pigmented, but it's also not like so sheer that it is really, really slow to build. I feel like the pigmentation is really beautiful on this. There is no shimmery detectable particles. It does have like a little bit of a sheen, but again, you can't detect those particles on the skin because I do not like when you can detect shimmer particles. But this is very similar to the Clay de Peau cream blush shade. So I really like layering these together, layering this on top just for a little bit more longevity. And it's just so beautiful on the skin. I just think it makes your complexion look so pretty. This is the type of color that I think flatters my complexion really nice. So if you have a similar color story to me, I feel like you would really, really love this because it's a blush that, again, is just going to bring life back to your cheeks without it looking like an obnoxious color. It's going to flatter your complexion. It's going to look like you're just naturally blushing. And I'm so impressed with this formula. It's really, really lovely. A highlighter I've been loving that I don't think I've mentioned on my channel yet is this Victoria Beckham. This is the Reflect Highlighter in the shade Pearl. So this is a cream highlighter. I guess technically you could call it a balm highlighter. And with this product, I will say that you have to apply it in a specific way. Do not go all over the cheeks like this, pressing it, because you will remove the makeup underneath. With this sort of product, the best way I have found to apply it is to go in with all my powder products, and then I will go in with fingertips. So this will be the very last step in my makeup routine. And I'll just take it. You can kind of feel the balm. It melts on contact with your fingertips. And then I will just tap it onto the very highest points of my cheekbones and like maybe down the center of my nose. That's kind of the only areas I apply it. And this just gives you like a dewy texture to your skin. So you can almost see like in person, I don't think you can tell on camera, because I've touched my fingertips to this product, it does melt and it creates this almost wet effect. And that is the exact effect that it creates on your cheekbones. And I think that it creates a very natural dewy effect. So it almost makes your cheekbones look like they just, I guess that they have a little bit of a wet quality to them, which maybe you wouldn't think is the most flattering thing, but I do think it, again, it adds some dimension back to your complexion so that everything's not just completely flat, especially if you are using more matte products on your complexion. But I do think this adds a really beautiful touch, and it is a very natural looking product because there are no detectable shimmer particles to this. And if you apply it in the way like I suggested, I think it gives a very beautiful effect. And even though this is a balmy product, it's still like my hair doesn't get stuck to it because that is just a deal breaker to me. I find the Westman Atelier one, my hair does get stuck to that product, so I don't love that one, but this one, my hair doesn't get stuck to this one, and you're applying such a minimal amount just to the very high points of your cheekbones. But I will say, like, I don't like how this looks if I apply it, like, striping it on my face, and also if I apply it underneath powder products and then go over top with the powder. I just think it works the best if you go in with this as a last step. But it is truly phenomenal. It is beautiful. It really gives you that lit from within glow. And then if I want to use a powder highlighter, this Bare Minerals Gen Nude Highlighting Blush in the shade Opal Glow is truly such a beautiful product and something that I feel like is not talked about enough. And I mean, I hadn't really heard of it before I tried it, but I had just swatched it when I was over in Vancouver. And I was really impressed by the creamy quality of this. Like, this truly feels just so silky smooth, and how it looks on the complexion is just so gorgeous for a powder product. If you want the effect of a cream, but you don't like creamy products, again, because maybe they're sticky, maybe they remove your makeup, they're just a little bit more finicky to use, this product gives you that effect that a cream product would. It truly melts into the skin and gives you just that lit from within glow. It makes your cheeks look like they are dewy without giving you that dewy feeling. So This is just such an impressive product. I really like the shade of this because it's that perfect combination of like a tan, a champagne, a rose, and a beige is just like that perfect combination where it just makes my cheeks look like they're naturally glowing. Just a very sophisticated powder, and it's not ultra expensive like some of my other favorite luxury products. Like I said, it's silky smooth, it blends into the skin like a dream, it melts into the skin, so you're not going to have a visible powder highlighter sitting on your cheeks. It truly just becomes one with your skin, and it is so, so good for a powder product. Again, not the most luxurious packaging, but the product inside is truly phenomenal. I love it. My favorite eyeshadows, I'm going to mention a few because I can break it down. If I'm picking a solo eyeshadow or just a one and done shadow, I have been really, really enjoying this Merit Solo Shadow in the shade Vachetta. I really, really enjoy these. I have kind of said I don't think they're for everyone, and I have heard kind of hit or misses about this product. And I do think it is because they're probably meant for specific people. If you're someone that struggles with cream eyeshadows, I wouldn't recommend this product because I do feel like you need to work quickly with them. But I really, really love the effect of this. And to me, I don't think it's actually like that difficult to use. I'm just more talking if you're like a complete beginner. I think cream eyeshadows can sometimes be a little bit harder to use, especially if they're more on the matte side. If you're someone that really likes the MAC paint pots, this is a very, very similar formula where you do get time to play with these products, but they do set down. And once they set down, like you are literally not getting this off of your eyes. It is going to stay all day long. It is so long wearing, it's incredible. So I think I'm going to be getting so much use out of it in the spring and summertime. I've already been using it so much, but I feel like I'm going to be getting even more use. I also just recently picked up another shade in this, I think in the shade Studio, so I'm excited to play with that one. It's a little bit lighter than this one, a little bit more on like the pinky side. I really, really love this formulation. Like I said, it's just nice and long wearing, but I do have to say that they don't layer up well. So if you apply one layer of product and then try and go in with another layer, it's not going to layer up the best. It kind of gets a little bit gummy and removes a little bit of this product. So I do find the best way to work with this is just to go in with that one layer of product, and then it will set down and it will not budge. And you can go over top with a shimmer eyeshadow if you want something that it's a little bit shimmery. But what I like about this is it truly is one of those solo shadows where you don't require anything over top. It's really, really lovely. And I do really like this color because I feel like it makes my eyes pop, and it's just a really, really good product. I also wanted to quickly mention, I'm really still loving this Clé de Peau Solo eyeshadow. Like you can see the dent I put in this. I love it as a one and done, but I don't think it's available in the US still. So I am going to talk about another Clé de Peau eyeshadow quad that I can't get enough of, and I'm quite surprised by this one. This is the Clé de Peau eyeshadow quad in the shade Coral Reef. And I say I'm surprised because normally I don't gravitate towards these rosy tones. There's something, I don't know, I just didn't think they were that flattering on me. Maybe that was when I used to have blonde hair, and I think maybe it contrasted a little bit because my hair was quite like, it was almost like an orangey blonde. So I think just back from those days, I just stayed away from pinky tones. But now that I've played with this quad, I've realized that I actually really like these tones on my complexion, and that kind of surprised me. So I've been really loving this. Even though it's called Coral Reef, I think it's more like of a dusty pink kind of quad. So I don't know why they called it Coral Reef. To me, this is more pinky. And then this shade right here is the most beautiful bronze, but it's like the best bronze because it's not too dark, it's not too light, it's not too warm, it's not too cool. It's like that perfect bronze that I've been looking for everywhere. It's like a champagne-y bronze. It is so, so good. It's so beautiful. I've been wearing this shade so much, and these all paired together just give you the most beautiful neutral toned eye look that leans a bit more towards the pinky side. But this formulation from Clé de Peau is truly amazing. I've never experienced eyeshadows that are like so easy to blend and so silky. They give you pigment, but not too much pigment. They're buildable, they're creamy, they're easy to blend, like I said. If you're a beginner, this would be a great starting off point. If you have mature skin, because of how buttery, silky these eyeshadows are, you would love these. My mom has 3 of these eyeshadow quads. That's how much she loves them. These are like her #1 quads. I need to have her back on the channel to do an updated favorites, but she's really loving these quads as well. I love these because you have these 3 powder eyeshadows here, and then you get this primer shade, which is actually like, it's like a putty eyeshadow. It feels like a cream almost. It's a very interesting texture, and you can go in with this first and then apply the powder products over top. And it just makes those powder products blend even more seamlessly and more easy, even though these powders are already so easy to blend. If you apply them over top of this primer, it's just even easier. And I just think it's a more unique formula to have it laid out this way. Truly gorgeous. Love the packaging as well. Very beautiful. I also noticed that the Clé de Peau blush duos came back into stock on the Clé de Peau website and I think on Bergdorf's. So I did want to mention these because this is probably my favorite powder blush formula of all time. This is the Clé de Peau blush duo, the powder blush duo in the shade number 105. I think it's called Maple Leaf, but it's so beautiful. These are very, very creamy powders. They almost feel like a fabric. That's how silky they are. They give you a beautiful glow without it being like a luminous, detectable shimmer. Again, you know how I feel about detectable shimmer. It has this creamy quality, and this is one of those blushes where it applies like a powder, but it melts into your skin like a cream, so you can't actually detect powder sitting on your skin. Phenomenal formula. It really reminds me, I would say the most similar formula is the Valentino blushes, but if you are looking for a beautiful neutral tone blush duo, gorgeous. This is the one. This is perfect for any time of year. I love to use it because it's just so neutral. It's going to enhance your complexion, make you look even more beautiful without it being an obnoxious color story. So I just wanted to mention those because maybe they're not discontinuing these, and I did notice them pop back into stock, so that's pretty exciting. And then the lip color I have been pulling for, this is kind of an oldie but a goodie. This is the Chantecaille Lip Chic in the shade Patience. This is just a beautiful, it's like my perfect combination of like a brown, a peachy, and a pink. Mix that all together and it's like the best nude lip color that I've ever tried. And I really like this formula because it's a lipstick lip gloss hybrid, I want to say. And so when you apply it on your lips, after you've worn it for a few hours, your lips actually feel better for wearing this. It's just a really great formulation because you get that creaminess, but it's not too creamy where your lips look like too glossy and it kind of just looks like you're drooling, like your mouth is wet. Like, I don't think that's the most flattering look. This isn't like too glossy, but of course, because it is more of a glossier hybrid formula, yeah, you are going to need to touch up. It's not going to be the most long-wearing product, but I love these because it feels like you're wearing a lip mask. Your lips just feel better after wearing this type of product. And it's just the most flattering pinky beige sort of color, like I said. I think it makes my complexion look better, kind of brings life back to my complexion. My mom also really loves this. She also has this shade Bourbon Rose, which maybe if you've lost a little bit of pigment, because as you get older, you do lose pigment in your lips, Bourbon Rose would be a beautiful your lips but better. But for me currently, I love Patience. It's kind of my perfect my lips but better. I'm just going to put a bit on. It's nice because it's not completely glossy like the YSL Candy Glazes, which almost melt on contact with your lips. This has a more balmy consistency, so it almost feels like a thicker formula. So it almost hugs your lips and gives you that veil of hydration that, again, hydrates over a longer period of time so that once this wears away, my lips feel really nice and hydrated. So I just really, really love this formula. Like I said, an oldie but a goodie that I can't stop using and that it's just always in my handbag. I actually have two of these, one for my handbag and one for my like makeup room. And then one last product I want to talk about, and I'm going to keep talking about it until it goes out of stock and it's discontinued because it's so good. This is the Chantecaille Lotus Perfect Blur Glow Powder. And yeah, it's just called the Lotus Perfect Lotus Perfect Blur Glow Powder. Only comes in one shade. I guess that's the downfall to it, but you can see I have hit pan and I have a backup of this. Such a good powder because it is a glowy powder without detectable shimmers. You can't see shimmers when you apply this on your skin, but it blurs. And most of the time when you have a blurring powder, it's going to be on the matte side because obviously a powder with a bit of a sheen is normally going to emphasize texture, but this has such a unique quality to it where it actually blurs your skin but provides you that skin-like glow. It's not an overly glowy powder. It's nothing similar to like that Bare Minerals highlighter or even any highlighting powder that I have. It is very, very subtle and subdued in comparison to a normal highlighting powder. This is very finely milled and it's a baked powder, so you're not going to get a lot of color payoff when you pick it up on a brush. You're going to want to use a dense brush. So I like to buff in my makeup at the end of my makeup application to make sure everything looks completely refined. So there's no harsh edges from where I've applied my blush, bronzer, and highlighter. Everything just looks smooth and blended together. So I like to go in with a powder like this on this Sonuji buffing brush, and I will just lightly buff the edges of where I've applied my makeup, mostly on the high points of my face where I want a little bit of glow, a little bit of life brought back to my complexion. and this just smooths everything over and actually makes your complexion look more natural. I also really like to use this as like an extremely subtle highlighter on the skin. If I just apply it to the high points of the cheekbones, it is so subtle. So if you're someone that's afraid of highlighter, I would recommend a powder like this. This is just phenomenal, and it's still a favorite in my collection. I use it all the time. And then I've been loving this Clé de Peau. This is the Brilliant Cream Rouge Shine in the shade number 201, Calanthe Orchid. And this is so pretty because you would think this is more like a lip gloss formula, but it's not quite. It actually has quite a bit of pigmentation to it. If you're looking for a lip gloss, the Clé de Peau lip gloss formula is, wow, outstanding. But this is different because this is like a really opaque version of a lip gloss, and it does leave behind a sheen, but it's not glossy, like it's not ultra shiny, and it's so comfortable on the lips, even though this does have more opaque coverage. It's so comfortable. It has a decent longevity for a shiny lip product, I would say. Probably get like 3 to 4 hours of wear, but it wears off very beautifully. I love the color of this. It's just a beautiful nude and really comfortable, really lovely product. It's really lightweight. I'm someone that doesn't really like opaque products because I just like something that looks a little bit more lived in and natural. But this is such a it's just such a great product. Clé de Peau just, I feel like they can't do anything wrong for the most part, but really love this formula. But that is it for all my #1 luxury makeup right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your favorites down below. Give me like a top 3 to 5 of what you have been loving, what you can't put down lately. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.